this tutorial, we're going to run through the steps of this wrap that I'm wearing right now. It's called the Mother Earth wrap, and it's from Kramer Yarns. And Kramer Yarns is awesome, and they let me pick the tutorial that I wanted to do from their patterns. And I picked this one first and foremost because I wanted to knit it myself, because I love the way it looked. And even though I'm an experienced knitter, where I am right now in my head, I just wanted to knit, and not have something very complicated. And I thought this pattern would be good for people like me, experienced knitters, to just kind of get out of your head for a while and knit. But also, since the pandemic started, we have a lot of new knitters. This is an excellent project for someone who's just getting started. There are no purl stitches, it's all knit stitches with some simple increases and decreases, and I'm going to run through all of that with you. So even if you've only done a garter stitch scarf up to this point, this is something that you can handle. If you can knit and you're pretty confident with a knit stitch, I'm going to show you how to do everything else. So I know that it works for both people who are maybe experienced knitters who just want some de-stress knitting, newer knitters who want to take on something new. And it is really pretty. And this yarn that's used is called Perfection DK. I'm going to show you all this stuff here. I've got a pile of stuff here to show you. This is called Perfection DK, and I've used this in a few other tutorials before. I love this yarn. I love this yarn as a knitter. I love this yarn as someone who's giving gifts away. I love this yarn as a knitting teacher. It's a wool blend, but it feels like wool. It acts like wool when you're knitting with it. It has the same give as wool, so if your tension isn't perfect, things will likely block out. You don't have to have perfect tension for this yarn to end up looking good. And especially for me, because I give so much of my knitting away to my family in Alaska, I don't have to worry about them putting it in the washing machine because this yarn is machine washable and dryable. Excellent for baby stuff that way. The last tutorial we did for Kramer was a baby blanket. I'll give you a link to that. That's a checkerboard illusion baby blanket that was really fun to knit, and it uses the same yarn. So when you give it away as a gift or you keeping it for yourself, you can put it in the washer, put it in the dryer. In fact, this yarn kind of needs to be washed and dried to hold its shape, to look right. It's like they're making it so easy for you. But it also feels like wool. It doesn't feel like a synthetic yarn, but it does wash up so well. So Kramer, also, it's a great price. Great price. It's a great value. Kramer has 3 kits for this pattern, Mother Earth Shawl, and I have all the colors for the kits here. How do I do this? Okay, let's start with this one because I have not opened this one yet. Whoops, that's the wrong side. This one has pinks and, yeah, this one's pinks and reds, and I know you can see that there through the plastic, yes. And actually, be sure to click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner to go to my website. You can see all this up close on their website, the different color kits. And then there's this kit here. There's six skeins. This one's blues and greens. And I have a sample coming up with this, so you'll see it. And then let me show you the one I'm wearing. I have to move my microphone. There we go. This one is purples and greens and blues. I mean, not purples and greens, purples and blues and a gray. Anyway, I should show you the wrong side. I was looking at the right side. This one is my favorite. And I like all of them. Okay, so if you click the little eye or look in the video description field below, you'll see a link to my website where I have a link to Kramer Yarns where you can take a look, compare side by side the different kits. In your kit, you'll also get the pattern, which is important. If you don't see the exact colors that you like, Kramer Yarns has over 70 colors of this yarn if you want to put together your own kit and just get the pattern. And I'll be sure to give you a link to both of those, all of those different things, so you can pick what you want to do. I personally love kits because I don't like picking my own colors. There are people who are way better at picking colors than I am. I want to leave it up to the experts. Okay, so we are going to run through all the techniques used in this pattern. Many thanks to Kramer Yarn for letting us do this tutorial. And up next, we're going to get started with the cast on and working the rows. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to look at the Kramer website and see the different colors of the kits and get your kit ordered and everything else. We're going to start with the cast on here and work through the rows. I also have a few other little tricks about color change and things to show you, so let's take a look. First thing I'll show you here is my finished shawl and talk to you a little bit about how this comes together. We start with just very few stitches here for the cast on, and we increase, and changing colors, increasing, changing colors, increasing. You can see the, whoops, dog hair, changing colors until the last section is really long. Wow, there's more dog hair than I thought. The last section is really long, quite wide, and it makes it really wearable in this shape. I like the way it wraps around my neck. And something I want to point out is on the wrong side of the work, you will get this line of color change. Totally normal, just a part of knitting. I actually think it's nice. I don't mind it at all. You can see them quicker here. And on what's the right side of the work, you have a clean color break. Just want to show you that so you know that that's normal, especially if you're a newer knitter. And the first thing we'll talk about here is, I guess it's the second thing by now, is starting a skein, because people ask me this all the time, like how do I get a skein started without making a total mess of things? Okay, with this skein, the label is printed up and down, and so you're always going to pull your yarn from the top. If the label was printed this way, you'd pull from the left. But this one's up and down, so you pull from the top, and I happen to know that this Kramer yarn, they stick the opposite end in the wrong end of the skein. So I'm going to just take that out and wrap it around a little bit. And then, so from the top here, I'll try to find the center and reach around until I find what feels the loosest and pull. And this is not going to be a good one, but it's always kind of a crapshoot. This isn't good at all. Sometimes when I do this on video, it's perfect, but you get to watch me recover from this. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to put what is called yarn barf kind of back into the skein. La. And there I've got my end. And sometimes if it wasn't that much yarn barf, I would just wrap it around. I'd just undo it, but that was like half the skein. That was like the worst possible example of how to start a skein. I think in doing that, I got things kind of tangled. Okay. We're ready to get started with our project. I am going to be using bigger needles, and I'm also going to be using double pointed needles just because it fits on camera really well. I used a 24-inch circular for this pattern, but this is what I'm going to use to demonstrate this so you can see what I'm doing. We're going to start by casting on 5 stitches, just 5. And I'm using the long tail cast on. And I will give you a link here to the slow-mo version video I have of this cast on. If it's new to you, it's a great all-purpose cast on. Okay. Whoops. Okay, row 1. There are only 2 rows in this pattern. Row 1, we're going to knit 1, KFB, which stands for knit front back. It's a 1-stitch increase. I'm going to put my needle in, wrap it and pull it through like normal, but I'm not going to pull that old stitch off the left needle. Instead, I'm going to whip the tip of my right needle around to the back loop of that stitch, wrap it and pull it through. You see I just increased by 1. Then you knit to 2 stitches from the end and you knit those 2 stitches together. So we haven't changed our stitch count because we increased once over here and we decreased once over here, right? So you turn the work, and row 2 is knit to 2 stitches before the end of the row, work a KFB again, put your needle in, wrap it and pull it through, swing the needle around to the back loop of that stitch, wrap it and pull it through, and then knit 1. Okay. We just start the process over again. Knit 1, KFB, and actually I'll give you a link to my slow motion KFB video if this is new to you and you want some more practice. And then knit those last 2 stitches together, turn the work, and on the wrong side we knit to the last 2 stitches, KFB, and knit 1. Okay, my work's going to be really loose because I'm using such big needles, but you saw what the pattern, what the stitch actually looks like. It's much tighter when you use the recommended needle size. And now I'm getting a little clippy marker because I'm going to assume that you're not keeping count with this, you're not using a row count or whatever. You always want to make sure you're working the right side rows on the right side and the wrong side rows on the wrong side. So I'm going to put a little clippy marker here. You can also use a safety pin so that when this is on my first stitch, the side with my first stitch, I always know I'm working a right side row. Okay. Knit 1, KFB, and now I want to talk about tension on this KFB. You pull that stitch through, whip your needle around the back loop of that stitch, and there's always a chance that first loop either isn't tight enough or it loosened up in the process. So after I slide my needle in, I give that stitch a little bit of a tug before I wrap and pull through the next one. I'll show you that again. Last 2 stitches, knit 2 together, and on the wrong side, knit the last 2 stitches, put my needle in, wrap it, pull it through, swing my needle around to the back loop of that stitch, and then once my needle is in there, I give the yarn a tug to make sure the first half of that stitch of the KFB isn't too loose. That's really going to help your edges look good. I guess this is a good time to pull that in. This is one of my samples here, and you can see the KFB on both sides of the work at this edge gives you this decorative edge. It's pretty. There's kind of a hole in the work, and the knit 2 together on the other side gives you a totally different edge. So we want to make sure we have good tension. Let's talk about that now. Let's talk about our very edge stitches. When I put my needle in, to make sure that everything looks good, if I put my needle in, before I wrap that stitch, just like I did with the KFB, I'm going to make sure that stitch is tight enough, because as soon as I pull that stitch through, the stitch that I just tightened up is on the row below. And this is where we see people wanting to change the tension. Usually people don't see, oh, the stitch on this current row needs to be adjusted. They see the stitch on the row before that looks too loose and they want to tighten it up. So that right there, before you pull that stitch through, is when you get a chance to tighten it up. Let me show you that again. Put my needle in the first stitch, wrap it, and before I pull it through, I give a tug, pull it through. Okay. Actually, I just confused myself. Let me show you that again on the other side. I forgot my KFB. You know, I have to confess, there are two dogs standing right next to me right now, and the puppy actually wants something, and so I'm getting distracted. This is shooting at home during the pandemic. Okay, so I'm going to do my KFB. I won't mess up this row anymore, I promise. When I get to my last two stitches, knit those two together. Okay, we can talk about edge tension here again. Put my needle in, give that a tug to tighten up that stitch before I wrap and pull it through. And just make sure you're consistent. Make sure that you're doing that on every row or not, if you don't want to do that, so that your edge is even all the way up and down. And I'm going to KFB on this stitch. Okay, now you can see we're starting to get a little bit of a shape here. It's starting to look like it's going to look, well, when it's finished, when we get a little bit more going. Okay, let me see what I want to show you next. Edge tension, tension on KFB. Let's talk about color change. And I actually need this yarn. This yarn that gave me so much yarn barf trouble. Okay, and I'm on circular needles this time. And this piece is a little mini shawl that I knit up because I wanted to show you the colors for one thing, and I wanted to show you what this looks like before you block it, because you can see things are quite curled up here. It's not flat. It's kind of lumpy. There's dog hair on it. That's because this has not been blocked out at all. This is what yours will look like before you wash it and block it. So I wanted you to see what that is. And this is, yes, this is a different color. Good, good. We're going to talk about changing color because the pattern tells you how often to change colors. I think for me in the pattern, it ended up being 28 ridges when I worked the pattern full size, not this little mini one. And when I'm talking about ridges, I'm talking about garter row ridges, garter stitched ridges. And each one of these is a ridge, and each one of these is 2 rows, down and back. So you can have it's easy to make your stripes the same width just by counting ridges and not counting rows, or using a row counter even. Okay. So I've cut my yarn. I'm ready to start the new color. I get this question all the time. I'm going to show you how to change color right here, right now. I'm going to put my needle in, grab my new color of yarn, and I fold it over, leaving about a 6-inch tail. I wrap that around the needle and pull it through. And now I don't want to forget, even though I'm changing colors, I don't want to forget to work my KFB. And the row the way I'm supposed to. I usually knit a few stitches in and then give everything a tug to tighten it up. This row is quite long. I'm not sure you want to watch me work all the way across this. Excellent TV knitting, I'm telling you, because you can, especially as it gets wider, you can just keep knitting and knitting and knitting. And you don't have to think about whether you're on a right side row or a wrong side row because the rows get so long, right? Oh gosh, I might as well finish it now, right? Okay. my last 2 stitches, knit those 2 together. Okay. And at some point, I'm going to want to tie a little knot in those because this is machine washable yarn. I want it to stick. I don't want anything to come unraveled. And I can do that now, or I can do it when I weave in the ends. I'll go ahead and do that now. Tie the 2 together in a single knot. Watch your tension. And then a double knot. And we'll check those knots again before we weave in the ends. Okay. That is all I wanted to show you in this section. Next up, we're going to talk about binding off, and we're going to talk about finishing the shawl, because you've learned everything you need to know to knit the shawl. Let's talk about finishing it. That's next. Gosh, it's getting dark outside. It looks like it's about to start storming. Okay, in this section, we're going to talk about finishing the shawl. Once you've done all of the knitting and all the color changes and everything else we've done, binding off and weaving in the ends and everything. So let's take a look. Okay, so we're going to pretend that this little mini shawl is finished and ready to be bound off. And so this is what I recommend. I recommend doing a normal bind off with a needle size 2 sizes larger. And you can just grab the little tip from your interchangeable needle set, or you can grab a double pointed needle, it doesn't matter. But you don't have to concentrate on binding off loosely if you just use a bigger needle size. And I find that it keeps my tension nice. So this is actually the wrong side. You can bind off, I think the pattern has you bind off on the right side. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. But you're just going to work a normal row. I mean, just a knit row. You can actually I'm trying to remember, did I work the KFBs? I don't think I did. I think I just worked a normal knit row. And as long as you have the larger needle in your right hand, you are going to be binding off loosely. And if binding off is new to you, I will give you a link here to my slow motion bind off video. And I know someone's going to ask, can I use a stretchy bind off? And yes, you can, but you're not going to get a nice flat edge. It's going to ripple a little bit. I think this is a better solution. Okay. You don't have to watch me do the whole thing. You can see I've got a bind off there that's matching the rest of the fabric. It's not puckering or pulling or rippling. It's just flat and it looks good. And that was with a needle size 2 sizes larger. Okay, now we're going to talk about weaving in the ends. Here's the right side of my work where the color breaks are clean. I'm going to flip it over to the wrong side of the work, and I have 2 ends here that I didn't knot that I'm going to go ahead and tie in a knot now. I know there are the people who are strongly against tying knots in your work. I am not one of those people. I think it's a great idea, especially with something machine washable, especially if you're giving something away as a gift. You don't want things to come unraveled. Okay, so we have 2 colors to weave in here, a dark color and a light color. And really what you want to do is weave the light color into the light and the dark color into the dark. You just want to weave the color into the same color in the fabric. And so I'll start with this light, my tapestry needle, if I can. And I'm going to do the typical umbrellas and smiles method of weaving in ends. I'm going to first go up into a smile, kind of get it away from the edge, right? We don't want to make any more bulk in this edge. We want that to stay nice, nice and flat and smooth. And the first thing I'll do is follow the umbrella around, go down into a smile, angle my needle, go down into an umbrella, follow the smile around, go up into the umbrella, up into the smile, follow the umbrella around, down into the smile, down into the umbrella, up, up, follow it around, down, down. And if this is new to you and you want to learn, get some practice with this, I'll give you a link to my slow motion weaving in ends video. And I like to end the last one, I like to be with the end on the same color of fabric, not poking up into the other color of fabric. And then once you do that, you can cut it short. And then the second color, first thing I want to do is get it away from the edge. Don't want to add any bulk to the edge there. And I don't want to weave it into the same spot that I wove in the lighter color, because that's going to create more bulk. So I'll take it up one more, and then same thing. Follow it around, down, down. Follow it around, up, up. And I don't know, people don't like weaving in ends. I don't mind it at all. I think it's another part of being crafty. My end's getting very short here, but I want to do it one more time to have the end poking up into the dark green fabric. There we go. And then I can cut this short. Okay, so I mentioned in the intro that this yarn is machine washable and dryable, and you really do want to machine wash and dry it to have it looking its best. That's kind of what it needs. Now, this is what I did with mine to get it looking really good, really perfect, professional finish on it. I washed it, machine washed it, dried it, and I let it dry to about 80% dry, still just barely damp. And that's because I wanted to block out this edge. This is our KFB edge. This is our increase edge. I want to block this out straight. You don't have to, I suppose, but you get something that resembles a triangle, less of a crescent, and it gives you kind of the full length of your scarf. So when it's a little bit wet, it's out of the dryer, it's not fully dry, then you can take your blocking mats and pin it out with that edge straight, and then let it finish drying that way. And this edge will take care of itself. It doesn't have to be pinned at all, but that'll give a little bit of a stretch to this. Oh, I should also mention, because I'm sure someone's going to ask, go ahead and weave in the ends before you wash it. And then you might see little ends poking out after you wash it. You can just trim those down. In fact, I think I have a couple of those. Let's see, I do, I have one right here. The little end started poking out a little bit, but the rest of it seems really secure. This is my finished shawl, so I'll just go ahead and shorten that. Ta-da! Anyway, that's how you can let it finish drying. I know someone's going to ask, I can predict all these questions, right? Someone's going to ask about blocking boards like the one I have here. As far as I know, they are no longer available, but you can get blocking mats, and you can get the kind that puzzle piece together so you can make something big. Actually, this was so long. This is a 6 foot long shawl. I pinned it out into my bedspread on my bed, and that it's not a lot of pressure. It went into my bedspread just fine. Okay, we are done with that. And that is it. Many thanks to Kramer Yarn for letting us have this de-stress project during these difficult times. Again, click the little eye in the upper right hand corner to go to my website. Also the video description field below, you'll see a link to the Mother Earth shawl on my website, where I'll have links to everything we talked about in this video. I hope you enjoy the knit. I really did. I kind of want to make another one now. Good luck.